I was telling one of my friends yesterday that the best way to put it is it's like when you play that video game and there's some good parts of that video game and then they make a terrible update and you find out that the game actually sucks. So that's the best way to put it. Like if 2K added a terrible update,
Okay.
and then came back a week later and fixed that update, that's the Tigers this season.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be fair, we were expecting a good update with Erod coming back, with Skubal coming back. Tarek Skubal looked really, really good. I don't think he gave up a hit through 4 innings pitched. Really, really solid. Eduardo Rodriguez, not so much. He did struggle a little bit. I believe he gave up, I think it was 5 or 7 earned runs. I mean, the game 2 against the A's was really, really ugly. I'll be honest, I didn't pay much attention to it. Getting shut out, and they didn't get shut out in game 2, but I mean, they lost 12-3. It was pretty bad. But yeah, that was a kind of a glimmer of hope for the Tigers getting those 2 guys back. And at the end of the day, did it go the way we wanted to? No, but it's only one start. Like, I think Skubal, there's a lot to take from him being back. Same thing with Eduardo Rodriguez. Like, I'm not going to get too upset over, yes, it was the worst loss of the season. Arguably the 2 worst losses of the season, but they were able to bounce back today and get a much-needed win.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm not expecting the Tigers to make the playoffs.
You said that last week, too.
I'm just taking it for what it is. And listen, they're 10 games under 500. They're playing relatively interesting baseball. We have a lot of guys we can trade at the deadline. The draft's coming up. There's a lot to be excited about, at least for me as a Tigers fan. So I'm not going to get too upset over it. At the end of the day, like, this team is not really in a position to compete. When you have Andy Ibanez as your number 3 hitter, I mean, no offense to him, but I mean, this team just does not have the depth. It doesn't have the talent to compete for the division. So, I mean, you take it for what it is. They're 3-2 in July now, I believe. So, at the end of the day, if they can finish the month of July with a positive record, that's a win for me.
Yeah, and we talked last week about Spencer Torkelson and his impact so far on this team. Then Javier Baez is just, we got to let that horse, I mean, you got to put down the horse at some point. It's rough.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm kind of tired of losing. I'm kind of tired of being on the wrong side of history, like that one stat we just talked about presented. I mean, Tarek Skubal did not have a bad game.
No, he looked fantastic. I mean, like, I don't know. It's like picking your battle. Like, there's a positive outlook and there's a negative outlook. The negative outlook is this team hasn't won a playoff series since 2013. They haven't had a winning season since 2016. Or there's the outlook of we have a new, a new GM in Scott Harris. We trust what he's doing. We trust some of these young players that are coming up. That's the way I'm going to look at it. I do have faith in this team. It's not going to be this year. It might not even be next year. But I do think there are some young pieces and also some veterans that can bring in some young pieces to get this team to where it needs to be.
Totally.
And, yeah, I think it's just like with the Pistons season. We all knew they weren't going to make the playoffs, but we kind of watched it just to see the development of those young players, to see those growth signs that we want to see out of guys like Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey. I feel the same way about the Tigers. Like, when you see a guy like Tarek Skubal have a good start, or Reese Olson come out of the bullpen and pitch really well. Like, to me, that's what I'm taking away from those series. I'm not getting too hung up on just a loss, because at the end of the day, it's just a loss.
Yeah, and, I mean, we really shouldn't be expecting a playoff berth this year, but I don't know. It's just not. It's like they're pulling us along. It's like we get invested because they win, and then we get our interest just tanks because they lose to a bad team in the Oakland A's.
Yeah, I don't know if the Tigers are pulling us along. I think like maybe the Twins and the Guardians are, just because they can't get their crap together. Like, realistically, if those teams were living up to their expectations, we wouldn't be having the conversation of the Tigers competing for this division.
And, I mean, technically they still are. I mean, they're still not out. I mean, they're not as out as I almost said the Rays, the Royals, or the White Sox. So
there's 6 games out right now.
I mean, that's still not something that we should overlook. 6 games is 6 games. I mean, that's like, what, 2 series? I
Yeah.
mean, they go into the next series against Toronto. That's going to be tough.